couple weeks for my dad, and it's always awesome to come speak to college Republicans. You guys got a lot of energy. You know, it's amazing. 4 years ago, it was not cool to be doing anything other than voting for Barack Obama. And 4 years later, I think as the unemployment rate, especially among young people coming out of college, has gotten worse, people realize that it's not cool to be voting for anyone other than who's running against Barack Obama. And so I'm doing my best. I'm 42, so I no longer qualify as a young Republican, unfortunately.
Hold the mic closer to you.
Okay, thank you. I'm the oldest of 5 boys. My real name, unfortunately, is Tagg. It's not made up. It's short for Taggart, and I wish I could tell people it was I was named after Dagny Taggart from Atlas Shrugged, but it's not quite as cool as that. My parents had a friend named Tagg Taggart, and they liked it, so they gave it to me. My whole life I grew up thinking there's one person out there with a funnier name than I have, and then I met him when I was 20, or 22. He handed me his business card and it said Lloyd Taggart on it. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought your name was Tagg Taggart. And he said, well, Tagg's just my nickname. And then I realized, no, I really do have the funniest name. And in fact, at one point when I was in high school, or just before I was 7th grade, I went to a new school and I decided to change my name. And because I didn't like all the things that rhyme with Tagg, it wasn't fun. And so I changed it, and my parents made me change it to my middle name. And my middle name, like my dad's, is Mitt. And it turns out there's more that rhymes with Mitt than rhymes with Tagg. So when I graduated from high school, I changed it back to Tagg. Like my dad, I also have 5 boys. But I did one thing that my dad never did do. I had a daughter as well, so 6 altogether. Raising 6 kids is a lot of work. And my wife is at home taking care of those 6 kids. I always start out by thanking her for letting me be out here. It's a lot of work to be home with 6. As I went out and I said, hey, Jen, is it okay with you if I go travel the next couple of months for my dad, because I'm going to be gone a lot? She looked at the schedule and she realized what I said. I mean, I'm on the road 6 or 7 days a week, most weeks, and trying to make as many stops as I can. And she looked at the schedule and she said, you know what, Tagg, there's nothing you can do more important for the future of our kids than getting your dad elected. And I think she's right. I think this is a critical election. I was with, a couple of months ago, I was in Connecticut with Dr. Henry Kissinger. Do you guys know who Henry Kissinger is? He has served a lot of presidents. He's seen a lot of elections. He started off by saying this is the most important election of his lifetime. And you think about that. All the elections that he's seen, and to have to say this is the most important election that he's seen. Now, the reason he's saying that is because the choice between the 2 candidates has never been as clear as it is right now. The economy's in trouble. Our foreign policy is a mess. And you have 2 very different visions for our way out of this. You have, on the one hand, someone saying, well, give me just 4 more years of trying the same thing that hasn't worked. Higher taxes, more regulation. And on the other hand, you have someone saying, we want to cut taxes, we want to cut regulation, we want to get people back to work. And I think, I'm convinced the American people are cluing in. I'll just have to talk loudly. I'm convinced the American people are cluing in and realizing how important this is. And I'm convinced over the next couple of weeks you're going to see the polls continue to move in our direction. Did you guys see the debate the other day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd like to tell a couple stories. Instead of you guys, I'm not going to try to convince you who to vote for. Because hopefully you're all voting the right way. You decide. I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to vote for my dad. And other than the fact that he's my dad, there's 2 reasons to do it. The first is he is, in my opinion, one of the most competent, qualified candidates we've ever had run for president. If you look at his life experience, everything that he's done has led up to this moment. When he was in business, he was in business for 25 years, started his own company, turned around troubled companies. He started Staples, he started Sports Authority. He turned around troubled business. He knows what it takes to turn around companies. and to fix them, get people to work. He went to the Olympics. It's funny, when he went to the Olympics, is that working again? No. When he went to the Olympics, oh, look at that. Is that working? A little better. When he went to the Olympics, maybe a story or two for the Olympics. He got there and they had a $400 million budget deficit. That's a lot of money. And his plan to fix it, well, it's funny, his first day there, he called a meeting of all the stakeholders. There were about 50 of them, and a big board meeting, and brought them all together. And he did things a little bit differently. They were going to have a big catered lunch for everybody. My dad said, well, why are we spending all this money catering? We got a $400 million deficit. Let's just have it, instead of going to a restaurant, let's have it at our headquarters. So they switched to the headquarters, and then the woman who was in charge of it brought the catering options to my dad. He said, no, you're not getting this. Call Domino's Pizza and have them deliver pizza, and just don't even get the meat lovers, just get pepperoni and cheese, the cheapest ones. And then when everyone showed up, my dad started off by saying, thanks for being here, everybody, and I want you to know, before you have any pizza, it's $1 a slice. And all of a sudden they realized there was a new sheriff in town. There was a new way of doing things. Rather than spending a couple $1,000s, he made a profit on the pizza. It was only a couple $100, but they sent a message, a cultural message of how they were going to do things. At the end of his he brought in people smarter than he was and helped them go through the budget line by line. They made 3 categories of budget items. One were things that had to get done in order to have a successful Olympics. The second was things that were nice to be done if they could be done, but if push came to shove, they could cut it out. And the third were things that no one could quite remember why they were doing them, but they were just in there. And so that third bucket was the easiest one to cut, and they ended up having to cut a lot of things out of that second bucket. And after 2 years of being there, my dad had got it whittled down enough that sponsors started coming back in and sponsoring the games. When he left, you know what happens with Olympics. You never have Olympics always have deficits. When he left Salt Lake, he left with a $100 million surplus, and that surplus now is being used to run all the facilities there in Salt Lake to train our future athletes. Same thing when he got to Massachusetts, $3 billion budget deficit. When he left, a $2 billion rainy day fund. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to fix things. He knows how to make things work. And as president, he'll do the same thing. Whether it's a $3 billion budget deficit in Massachusetts or a $16 trillion deficit at the country, he knows how to fix things. The second reason I think he'll do a great job is, in addition to being a very qualified guy, he's actually a really good person, too. Now, the Democrats are going to do everything they can do the next couple of weeks. They've been doing it the last couple of months, trying to make my dad into some big, bad, evil monster. I'm here to tell you, as his son, that he is kind and compassionate and caring and a good man. He loves his wife very much. Sometimes we think a little too much. We think he should pay a little bit more attention to his sons. But he loves her dearly. By the way, I am happy to announce that I am his favorite of the 5 sons. You guys get the right one here today. He loves his 18 grandchildren very much. I thought I'd tell just one quick story about an experience that happened in New York. I don't know if you saw the convention. There were story after story. People got up and said, I'm going to tell you the way that Mitt Romney affected my life and how what he did for me when there were no cameras around. And I thought I think people tuned in for the first time and said, oh my goodness, this guy is he's not the evil monster that the Democrats are trying to paint. And then at the debate, the same thing happened. Everyone said, Barack Obama got up a day or two after the debate and said, that Mitt Romney was on the stage with me. I didn't recognize him. That's not the Mitt Romney that I know. Well, no, does, because the Mitt Romney that you know is this fairy tale character you've invented for your TV ads. And so the real Mitt Romney is someone very different than what they'd have the American public believe. I thought I'd just tell a quick story, and then I'll stop bragging about him. It was in the early 90s, I think, and his business partner called him and said, Mitt, I'm not going to be into the office this week. My 14-year-old daughter went to a party last night and she didn't come home. And we don't know where she is. She snuck out. We told her she couldn't go to the party, but she snuck out, and now we can't find her. So now I don't know about you, but if my business partner said that to me, I would probably say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Bob. Please let me know if there's anything I can do, and take as much time as you need." if you know my dad, that's not the way he acts or reacts. He runs at problems, and he fixes them. And so rather than just kind of sit back and say, let us know if we can do anything, he got involved. He called a meeting with the entire company. He asked, he said, listen, I'm going to go to New York and help Bob find his daughter. Who wants to come with me? Everyone volunteered. They shut the office down. They went to New York City. They called their accounting firm and said, can we use some space? Because their accounting firm was based in New York. And their accounting firm said, yeah, use as much space as you need, and we'll give you a bunch of employees as well. And my dad then set up a map of the city. He divided it up into quadrants, and he assigned each person there a different quadrant to go look for her, talking to people in the city. They came up with flyers, and they passed flyers out. They went to Duane Reade, which was the pharmacy there, and asked Duane Reade to put flyers in every bag. And the flyers had a picture of the girl, a phone number to call, and a reward for any information leading to finding her. And after a couple of days of doing this, the newspapers and TV stations started picking up on it and were running stories. And as they did that, they got the police got a call at the hotline saying, "Well, how much information do I have to give to get the reward?" Well, the police followed up on that, traced the call back. Turns out it was a young boy who knew that his friend had kidnapped the girl, the 14-year-old girl. And the friend ended up telling the police where she was, and they went and rescued her. She had been tied up in his basement for a couple of days and was not in very good shape. I've spoken, this was 15, 20 years ago now. I've spoken to her since. She's now married. She has children of her own. And she, as she tells the story herself, tears well up in her eyes. And she talks about how much of a difference my dad made in her life. And it would have been easy for him to just kind of do nothing, but that's not who he is. He fixes things, and he's a really good, kind, compassionate, caring guy. I think he's going to make a great president. I think, by the way, well, let me ask you guys a question. Are we going to win in Virginia?
Yeah.
In order to win, we need you guys to get involved. You started out by being here today. Some of you already told me you've already voted, so thank you. If you can vote again, well, I better not because there's cameras around. But encourage your classmates to vote. Have them vote absentee if they're not going to be here. Virginia is going to be a critical state for us. We feel very good about our chances here, but we don't want to take anything for granted. We're going to work our hardest. My brother's been here a bunch of times. I've been here a couple of times. My dad's been here. Paul Ryan will be back. But we need you guys to make phone calls, talk to your neighbors, talk to your classmates, get them to vote, and have them make sure that they're registered to vote to begin with. That I think the last day to register is Monday. So if they're going to vote for the right guy, make sure to remind them to register by Monday. If they're not going to vote for the right guy, tell them to register next month. Boy, thanks for being here. Boy, I see a sign in the back. Someone's holding a sign saying Mormonism is a cult. Boy, thank you for your open-mindedness. That's what's great about this country is that people are able to speak their minds. People have fought for our freedom so that people can do and say what they want. I sure hope, rather than this war on religion and war on gender and war on good working people in this country that the Democrats are trying to put forward, that we can unite this country and come together. Regardless of people's religion, their race, whatever divides us, we need to put those things aside and be united as a country. Fight for our freedoms, fight for what makes this nation great. I can tell you, no one will work harder in office than my dad at making sure that your guys' future is bright. He's going to do everything he can do to tackle that debt, to get the economy moving again so that you have jobs and you're graduating. And we're going to go get this done and win for you. So thanks for being here, everybody. Yeah.